Hello everyone, I am Heather and welcome to another episode of Misadventures in Travel. Yes, it's been quite a while since I have filmed a Misadventures in Travel video. If you haven't seen any of the videos in that playlist, I will link the playlist at the end of this video for you. My Misadventures in Travel playlist contains stories of all the times that things went wrong for us when we traveled. This is going back to my childhood. A lot of them actually happened to me when I was traveling as a kid with my dad or as a teenager. I share with you important lessons from each of these scenarios and things that we did to resolve the situation or what we learned from it. Some of the stories are very funny. Some of them are also very serious, including loss of life. I really try to include some really helpful information for you if you ever find yourself in one of these situations or a situation that's similar. Now, I have added a few videos to the playlist that kind of had something happen in them that would kind of be a misadventure in travel situation, but maybe the whole video isn't a misadventures in travel, but I still added them to the playlist just so you could see some of those situations too. This one just happened this past weekend, and Megan and I actually said to each other, oh, this is going to be a misadventures in travel video. And just when we didn't think it was bad enough, it got really weird at the very end. So make sure you stay for the whole story. The situation is not actually completely resolved, and I will explain what I mean later. I will add to this video before I edit it and put it up and let you know if the situation was resolved to my satisfaction. For now, I'm just going to tell you about what happened while it's fresh in my head. Today is actually Monday, September 23rd, 2024. And this just happened on Friday night, this past Friday night, so September 20th. There's quite a few things you can get out of this story, but one of the main things I want you to get from it is that using points and miles, and I talk about that more about how our family personally uses points and miles in this video, so make sure you check that out, isn't just a nice way to get some free stuff when you're traveling, like free stays and upgrades and things like that. It can actually save you in an emergency. And that's exactly what happened to us in this story. All right, first of all, I wanted to go and spend some time with Megan on this past weekend. She's away at college. Megan attends college at a school that's 2.5-hour drive from our home in a neighboring state. We had tickets to the touring Broadway production of Back to the Future on Saturday in Minneapolis. We had had those for a long time, months and months, maybe even almost a year. And so we had that on the calendar already. Because of my issues with my spine, sitting for any length of time is really painful for me. So I try to avoid having too much driving in a single day because driving is really painful. And then it affects, I get really bad sciatica and it makes it hard for me to walk and it's just a whole big thing. So I really try to limit the amount of time I'm driving. So I already knew that I wanted to spend at least one night at a hotel, probably after the play because I'd have to drive up there and then I'd have to be sitting all through the show. I didn't want to have to take Megan all the way back to school and then drive back. Her school is also about an hour away from downtown Minneapolis, so it's a lot of driving involved. But as we got closer, a couple other things came up that I also wanted to attend. Megan and I wanted to see the new movie Beetlejuice, which had been out for a couple of weeks at this point. Ben had no interest in seeing it. And Megan's choir that she's in at school was actually going to be having their first performance of the academic year on Sunday in their Sunday chapel service at her school. So I decided I was actually going to stay 2 nights, Friday night and Saturday night. So on Friday night, I would leave after Ben got home from school. We would go to Beetlejuice at the movie theater that night. And then on Saturday, we would go to Minneapolis and go to Back to the Future, to the play. And then on Sunday, I would be able to be there for her to go to chapel and see her sing and perform in the service. So that was the plan. So I was going by myself and Ben was going to be staying here at home by himself for the weekend. Now I didn't want to leave Ben without a car. We do only have one car. We really don't need two cars. So at this point, what we found to be a lot more economical and actually turns out to be really nice is if we ever do need a second car, we just rent it. We prefer to rent our cars from Enterprise. I've had very good experiences with Enterprise. I'm also a rewards member with Enterprise, so I earn points for every car rental that I have. We have 2 Enterprise locations very close to us, and so it was easy enough for me to rent a car where I live. Because I rent cars from Enterprise so often, I actually had a free 48-hour car rental. So I was able to get a free car rental in a really nice Toyota RAV4, which I absolutely loved. I called her Louisa because she was actually from Louisiana. It had Louisiana plates on it. I really, really liked this Toyota RAV4, and I've definitely added that in my mind, although Ben really wants our next car to be an electric car, or at least a hybrid. But I added that I might want to go with a Toyota in the future because I really liked everything about that car. I didn't have any complaints about it at all. It was great. Really enjoyed having that car for the weekend. I also really enjoyed having a working radio for the entire weekend because the radio in my car only works about 20% of the time. First thing, cool, free car rental. I only had to pay $2.43, which was tax or something. I don't know. So my dad took me to the airport on Friday while Ben was at school. I picked up the car rental, drove it home, picked up Ben from school. So he got to ride in the rental car from school to home, picked him up some dinner, and then I left right away and drove all the way to Megan's school. So that way Ben would have my car here at home, which he did use. He went to the grocery store, he went running, he got himself McDonald's one day, so he did use the car. So he wouldn't be just stuck at home without any way to get anywhere all weekend. Now, the one bad thing was my dad was a little late picking me up. Getting the car at the car rental place took longer than I expected. It worked out fine, but actually I feel like that employee that was working at the time was a little bit inexperienced, and it was a combo Enterprise and National counter, and he seemed to be kind of mixing up the policies between Enterprise and National, and we ended up having a conversation back and forth quite a bit. He didn't seem to understand that I was a frequent renter, that this was a free rental. I don't know, it took too long. I got out of there fine eventually, but that left me with only about 25 minutes at home before I had to pick Ben up from school, and I had about 90 minutes worth of stuff to get done. So I was really rushed. I was really behind. I was very late picking up Ben from school, which he wasn't happy about. So then that pushed everything back. Everything just kept getting pushed later and later, which kind of messed us up. Megan and I had planned to see Beetlejuice at the 7 o'clock showing at the movie theater in the town where her school is. But I was still about 20 minutes away when the movie started. So Megan was kind of scrambling because if we didn't go at 7, we were going to have to wait until 8:50, so almost 9 o'clock, to go to the movie, which is really pretty late for both of us. I had also intended to check into my hotel before I picked her up and we went to the movie, but I definitely wasn't going to have time for that. In the meantime, while I was on my way there, Megan checked, and the next city that we sometimes stay in, there's a movie theater there, actually right by the hotel that we often stay in when we visit Megan. The movie was showing there every hour. So 6, 7, 8, 9, and they must have had it on multiple screens. So she's like, Mom, we could go there at 8. And that would work out well. We would literally just make it because it's about 25 minutes away. So I was about 20 minutes late to get to the city where she was, and then it would take us about 20. So we'd just make it for the 8 o'clock. Quick aside, the city where Megan goes to school is about the same size. It's a small city. It's about the same size as our hometown where we live. It only has 4 hotels that I'm aware of. One is a very nice property right in town that is newer, very clean, kept up very well. We've stayed there many times. It's very popular. It's one of the main hotel chains that I have rewards membership with. That one is almost always full. On weekends especially, they really jack the rates up. And especially when there's something going on at these colleges, because there's more than one college in the city where Megan goes to college, when there's events going on with the colleges, it can be really hard to get a room right in that town. There's also two other well-known brand hotels, but they're kind of on the lower end and not the type of place I would normally choose to stay, more budget type hotels. And then there's one really weird one that I think one of the hotel places told me sometime don't ever stay there. It's like some no-name brand. It's weird. And it's kind of where like contractors and workers and stuff stay when they're in town. And I wouldn't ever consider staying at that place. Okay, when I booked the reservation, I wanted to be right in the town where she goes to school. But the nice place where I wanted to stay was full. So I ended up booking one of the other two. I have stayed there before and it was fine. It's only okay. The beds aren't very comfortable. It's older. It's a little bit dumpy. It's okay, but it's nothing to write home about. Okay, so I was a little disappointed that that's where I was staying. But I didn't have time to go there before I picked Megan up. I literally picked Megan up at school and we just like spun right around and went to the next city where there's a nice Hilton property that we often stay at when the ones in the city where she goes to school are full. And the movie theater is right by that. So we went there. We got there just in time. We saw Beetlejuice. We enjoyed it. I actually filmed a review of it for my new review channel. I'll link that up here. If you're interested in that kind of thing, I'd love if you subscribed over there too. We headed back to the city where she goes to school, stopped back at her dorm because on the way she asked me, Mom, can I stay in the hotel with you tonight? Because there's no air conditioning in her dorm and it's still been in the 80s every day where we live. It finally just got cool yesterday. So I'm finally wearing long sleeves. We're in fall now, and I'm finally wearing long sleeves and fall clothes because it finally just got down into the 60s, 50s, and 60s just within the last 48 hours. So anyway, it was still very hot, and it was very hot in her dorm room, and she had a lot of trouble sleeping. So I said, oh, yeah, absolutely. You can come stay with me at the hotel. So she quick ran up and packed a bag and everything. Okay. By the time we got to the hotel, it was like 11:30 at night. When we pulled into the hotel, I could see it was very full. I think there was one spot left for me to park the car. We went into the hotel. The woman at the front desk seemed to be expecting me. Now, I had checked in earlier in the day online. One little side note, after I checked in online, I got repeated confirmation emails from the hotel. And I even asked her, I said, do you have any idea why I've gotten like 20 confirmation emails? And she just kind of laughed and said, oh, yeah, we just started that new system where you can check in online and stuff. And she says, I think there's some glitches with it, which I was like, okay, that's fine. It's perfectly reasonable explanation, kinks they got to work out or whatever. She had my keys already because I had checked in online and she sent us to the room on the first floor. This type of hotel only has 2 floors and there's no elevator. A lot of complaints about that. People who stay at this hotel, when they come and it's full, even sometimes when they request a ground floor room because they have mobility issues or something because there's no elevator or they can't get their suitcases up the stairs, apparently the hotel never listens. I'll come back to that. So we go to the room. It's down the hallway. And if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you know that the first thing we do when we get to any hotel room, and which you should definitely do too, and this proves it, is do an inspection of the room, including, and I would say especially, checking the beds. Watch this video for how to do that. So we get into the room and the first thing we do is inspect the beds. And the first bed I checked, first Megan lifted up the mattress and I had my flashlight on my phone and I went under the mattress, between the mattress and it was just like a platform type thing. And there was actually like a cover and I actually lifted up the cover and I looked under that. Then Megan set the mattress back down and then I pulled back all the covers, including the sheets and the mattress cover. There was a mattress cover, not a fully encased thing, but just a regular mattress cover. This was the bed closest to the window and it was the side closest to the nightstand that was in the middle between the beds. So probably the most popular place that somebody would be sleeping, that or the one on the other side in the other bed. But I pulled back the covers and immediately saw a whole bunch of little tiny bugs all over the surface of the mattress. Insects. Whole bunch of them. Brownish black. Now, I could not definitively say if they were bed bugs. I mean, I was looking at them with my flashlight and Megan came over and looked too. And honestly, they appeared to be dead. So I don't know if they got smothered under there or if they do use some kind of, pre-treatment chemicals in the room or something that would kill bugs or whatever. But they didn't really appear to be moving, but there was a lot. And they were right on the surface of the mattress. The mattress otherwise appeared to be quite clean and relatively new. But I can't think of any scenario where it would be acceptable for there to be this bunch of insects on the surface of the mattress underneath the bedding. That definitely should have been something that housekeeping noticed, wouldn't you say? So we were so freaked. I mean, whether it was bed bugs or not, I wasn't going to sleep in that bed. And so I simply just put the covers back and we grabbed our stuff and we walked right back to the front desk. Okay, so this was a minute. We came back so quickly that the front desk lady said, before I had a chance to say anything, she kind of laughed. And she goes, "Oh, was there somebody else in that room?" Which that in itself was a little alarming. And Megan and I kind of looked at each other like, is that something that normally happens? That you put people in a room that somebody else is already in? I mean, I have actually had that happen before, but it was a mistake. And if it happened, the front desk clerk would be extremely apologetic and, so sorry that they messed up. Okay, because that is obviously a mess up that they did. And I said, no. I said, but we're not going to be able to stay in that room. I was trying to be discreet and polite. Now, it's 11:30 at night and there was nobody else in the lobby. But I'm still trying to be discreet and polite. So I said, no, we will not be able to stay in that room. You're going to want to inspect the beds. That's what I said. And she just looked at me blankly. She did not respond at all. She didn't say anything. She didn't look like, oh, shoot, or uh-oh, or anything. There was no response at all. And Megan even said, do you think they train them to not react? In hindsight, no, I don't think that. I actually honestly don't think she had any clue what I was saying. I couldn't definitively say if they were bedbugs or not, but they were some type of insect, multiple small insects on the surface of the mattress, okay? So I was just saying, you need to inspect the beds. And then I waited for her to say something, which she did not. She did not apologize. She did not say, oh, I'm so sorry about that, or, oh, I'll definitely get housekeeping in there, or anything. She said nothing. The one other time that I saw something on a mattress that I was concerned about, and that was just spots, I went out and housekeeping actually was out in the hall, and I grabbed one of the housekeepers, and she was actually the housekeeping manager. She took it extremely seriously. She said, hold on, let me go get my glasses. She went and got her glasses, went back in there with me, put her glasses on, and was looking at it very carefully and said to me, ma'am, we'll take care of this. You go down to the front desk and they'll move you. And then they did, and they took it very seriously at the front desk. That was a Hilton property. And again, I don't know that anything was actually wrong. It could have been anything. But I mean, they took it very seriously. That's the type of response I was expecting and did not get. I got no response. So I just kind of waited and she didn't say anything. And so then I said, is the hotel full? Because I didn't understand why she wasn't offering to give me a different room, which I wouldn't have necessarily been very comfortable with anyway, because if it was bed bugs, there was no way to get an entire floor away from it. It's just two straight hallways right on top of each other. And so that kind of made me nervous. She kind of half looked at the computer, typed a little bit and goes, yeah, we're pretty full. And so I said, okay, well then we're not going to be able to stay here. I would like my money back, please. I said it very calmly and firmly. And she goes, oh, I can't do that. And I said, okay, well, we're leaving then. And I'll take it up with Wyndham Corporate, because it was a Wyndham property. I turned, Megan and I walked out the door. When we got to the car, we did take a flashlight. Even though we were only in the room for less than a minute, we did take a flashlight to our bags and looked at them very, very carefully, really quick, just to make sure, because we're super paranoid. Because this can happen to anyone. It can happen to any hotel, no matter how fancy or expensive it is. It doesn't say anything about the cleanliness standards of the hotel. Bedbugs don't care if you're clean or dirty. They only want a blood meal. Nicer hotel brands and brands that really care about their reputation do things to help prevent the transmission of bedbugs in their hotels. They have stuff in place and take this very seriously. And the fact that that desk clerk reacted the way she did indicated to me that even if they are doing any of those things, because the manager did mention to me when I called today that she was going to have them bring in the dog. There are bed bug sniffing dogs. And she said, that's going to cost us $150. Like, she was so bothered. And I was like, well, that's what you got to do then. That's not my problem. You know, it's your hotel. But again, it can happen to anyone. It can happen anywhere. The hotel's going to do what they can. A good hotel is going to take care of its guests. But you still have the responsibility on you as the guest to be diligent about this and to make sure you're not bringing them home with you. Because getting them at home is an absolute nightmare, which I talked about more in that video. So anyway, at this point, we were just in a conundrum because now it was very late at night. We were very tired. We'd both been up since like 6:30 in the morning. It was a school day and we needed to find someplace else to stay. Megan is in a single room with one twin bed. There wasn't any place for me to sleep there. So this is what we did. I said, okay, let's go to the one nice hotel. It's actually a Marriott brand hotel, and see if by chance any rooms opened up. You know, maybe somebody didn't show up. Okay, so we drove over there. I walked in, just right off the bat. Place is bright, fresh, welcoming looking, smells cleaner, everything. The front desk agent, who was a young woman, almost like she was a college student, but she was very polite and very professional. I told her, I said, we had to leave a different hotel. I said, I don't have a reservation. Is there any chance you have a room? And I said, and I actually need it for 2 nights. Is there any chance, somebody didn't show up yet, something open up or whatever? And she said, there is a possibility, but she said, I'm going to warn you, the rate's going to be really high. And she started looking immediately. And she did have something, but she was right. It was very expensive. I honestly didn't have enough money to pay for it. So I said, okay, that's okay. Because the wheels had started turning in my head and I had a different idea anyway. I went to the car and I told Megan they do have a room available, but it's this much. I want to say it was close to $500 a night. It was really expensive. And so I said, hey, what do you think if we actually drive up to Minneapolis and stay closer to going to the show tomorrow? And she goes, actually, she said, I was thinking that too. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And weirdly, the closer we got to Minneapolis, the less expensive the hotels were. You will actually find that in big cities, oftentimes hotels are more expensive during the week and less expensive on the weekend because they're catering to business travelers. And the higher demand is during the week when business travelers are in town. But it's smaller towns and touristy areas that will be more expensive on the weekend, like this city where Megan's college is. So the rates are way higher on the weekend. But like, for example, a year ago, when we stayed at that same hotel that I had just checked during the week, like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, when Megan had her wisdom teeth out and we had to stay near the oral surgeon and she didn't want to be alone in her dorm, it was very reasonable. First, I found something and booked it. And it was about 5 to midnight. So I just got that booking in under the wire because I don't know if it would if I had gone over midnight, it was going to think I wanted it for the next night. I don't think I could have booked it if I had gotten past midnight. So I booked it. It was actually the Home 2 Suites, Minneapolis Mall of America. We have stayed there before and they have actually rescued us in another situation where we had to leave a hotel before, and I will link that video for you up here. And that's a very nice property. And I had just enough Hilton Honors points to book that one night stay. So my points saved me because Wyndham had not given me my money back. I had only brought that one credit card with me that I was going to pay for the hotel with. I didn't have any of my other credit cards with me. I do have my Hilton Honors American Express card saved to my Hilton Honors account. So that was already on file for them to use for incidentals. So we drove the 45 minutes away to the Home 2 Suites Mall of America. And we get there. It was fine driving because, I was very tired and so was Megan, but we were talking to each other and stuff. And there was no traffic at that time of night. So we get there pretty quickly, quick, easy drive to get up there. We get there. This hotel is also the fullest I've ever seen it. And we've stayed there multiple times in the past. We had to drive all the way around. It's a pretty sizable hotel because it's a True and a Home 2 Suites in one building. We had to drive all the way around, all the way to the back, and all the way to the far end of the back. And it was a long way to walk around to the front door. So we get there, we park. There was no place else to park. We get there, we park, we get our suitcases out, we start to walk to go around to get to the front door. And Megan goes, "Is that a cat?" She goes, "No, it's too big to be a cat. Is it a dog? Mom, what is that?" And I was still getting my suitcase out and stuff. So I wasn't even looking over where she was looking. And then I'm like, "Where?" And she goes, "Over there." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I think it's a raccoon." And it was a great big fat raccoon. And then there was another one. And then there was another one. There were at least 3 that we saw. There might have been more than that. And the guy inside at the desk told us it's a family of raccoons, Mama and her kids, that have all grown up now. And they were all great, big, huge raccoons. This is right up next to some woods. And he said they've been coming and digging in our trash every single night. And he said, we've tried trapping them so we can relocate them over to the nature preserve, which is nearby, but we haven't been able to catch them yet. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Now, granted, they're only going to be out there at night when there's nobody around, but it scared the bejeebers out of us. And so we had to walk right past where they were. And so Megan's like, I don't want to walk past her. We were kind of nervous, I'm sure they were probably fine, but raccoons can have rabies and all sorts of stuff. I said, okay, let's just start walking that way. So we were walking and dragging our suitcases. And as we got closer, I yelled, "Hey, get out of here." And it scared them and they started to run away. And then as we kept going and they were running across in front of us, I started barking like a dog really loudly. I was like, "Rrr, rrr, rrr, rrr." And after a minute, Megan actually said, "Mom, be quiet. People are sleeping." Because she was worried I was going to wake people up because it was 1 something in the morning. We get around, we get in the front door. The guy lets us in. He sees we have suitcases. I had a reservation. He was very, very nice. He was so welcoming. He, talked with me about the raccoons, first of all. And then he asked, what you doing in town? And, what show are you going to? And he was very interested in us and very friendly and very, very nice. Super nice guy. Great guy at the Home 2 Suites on Friday night. Well, I don't know what his name was, and he got us checked in really quickly and, told us about the breakfast and everything. And then we went up to our room, and this hotel is just immaculate. It's so nice and clean. They keep it up so well. The bathroom is beautiful. There was a nice walk-in glass shower. We both took a shower. Such nice, soft, smooth bedding. By the time we got all settled and everything and read a little bit and things and got to bed, it was 3:00 in the morning. So this was a really long night for us. But we had a decent night's sleep. Then we're able to, go to the show in the morning. Now, what did I do about the second night? Because the second night I needed to be as close to Megan's school as possible because she had to be up and getting ready for her choir concert and for, warm-ups and everything at 9:20 in the morning. And so that night she wanted to sleep in her dorm and I didn't want to be too far away. But I had just used up, I still had some Hilton Honors points left, but I didn't have enough for a stay within a reasonable distance of her school. So then I checked Marriott. I checked my Marriott Bonvoy points and I had just enough for a stay at the Fairfield Inn and Suites in a different city, little farther away. It's about 30 minutes away from our school. So not terrible. I had never stayed at that property before. And so I actually made a room tour of that one and that will be coming up. And I just stayed there by myself and I had an absolutely great night's sleep. That room was, again, immaculately clean. Encased mattresses, encased pillows. they were doing it right, and it was a Marriott property. So very happy with my stay there, and I slept really, really well all by myself in this nice, comfortable king bed. It was good for my back. It was firmer than my bed here at home. Clean, quiet, dark, fantastic. And then in the morning, I was able to get up refreshed, drive back down to Megan's school, attend the chapel service, see her sing. She did a beautiful job. I can always actually hear Megan above. It's a big choir, but I can actually always hear Megan above every other singer. And as soon as the chapel was over, I had to hustle back because my 48 hours for my free car rental ended at 2:00. And I got back literally just in time. I got that car rental back and Ben came and picked me up. So that was our weekend. What I kind of want you to get from this is, first of all, everything that I told you about, the situation with the bugs in the bed and dealing with the hotel. Okay, I'm going to say one more thing about that before the end. But the other thing that I want you to get out of this was points. Having points saved our weekend. I basically, except for the issue with Wyndham, which I'll come back to, I basically got this entire weekend for free. Except for, my tickets to the movie and my tickets to Back to the Future, which I had bought way in advance. And the food that we ate, I had a free car rental and I got 2 free nights of hotel. One night with Hilton Honors and one night with Marriott Bonvoy. So I got a free weekend basically by having points. So not only did I get a free weekend, but having those points saved me in an emergency situation where I had to find a place to stay in a pinch in the middle of the night and had no other way to pay for it because my credit card was maxed out with the stupid money I had paid to Wyndham, which was very expensive, by the way, at this dumpy place. Almost $400. I wouldn't pay that even if they didn't have bugs on the bed. It's just not worth that. I think when Ben and I stayed there 2 years ago, when we were like on a weeknight when we were leaving on our trip to go on our Halloween cruise on Disney Wonder, was the next day. And we came to see Megan perform in something else that she was in. I think it was $80. It is an $80 a night hotel. To pay over $200 and something a night for that place was ridiculous. Having those points really got me out of a jam because I wouldn't have had any other way to pay for a hotel. I had no other credit card with me. I don't carry my credit cards in my wallet, in my purse, normally, just out of safety and security, unless I know I'm going to be traveling and I'm going to use them. And I really only use credit cards for travel. That's it. So yeah, points really saved the day. Let me tell you lastly what the situation is with Wyndham. I'm sorry this is turning out to be such a long video. And I will let you know where I've left it. And then when I get a resolution, I will add it onto this video so you know what happened. After I got Ben off to school this morning and everything, kind of psyched myself up, had some breakfast, all that, I called the manager of the hotel. I asked to speak to the general manager. Now, it was a youngish sounding woman. Maybe she was about my age, but she could have been the person that worked on Friday night. So I actually asked her, were you working on Friday night? And she goes, oh no, I never work weekends. And I very calmly explained the whole situation to her. I was not accusing the hotel of having bed bugs. And I told her that. I said, I'm not sure if they were or not. I told her the whole situation just the way I explained it to you guys. She got so defensive. She had been really friendly when I first started talking to her, but as soon as I got to that, she just got super defensive. She didn't apologize for the strange, weird, unapologetic behavior of her nighttime desk clerk. She did not apologize for the inconvenience it caused me. She didn't say anything like that at all. She was just super defensive, and she said some things that are blatantly false. First of all, she's like, we've never had bed bugs. Okay, well, maybe they haven't. I don't know. I mean, the hotel's been there a long time. I find it hard to believe that they never had a single case ever. But maybe they haven't. I have no idea. I wasn't saying anything like that. All I was doing was asking for my money back. And I made that very clear that all I wanted was a refund because I didn't stay there. And that I felt that despite their cancellation policy, I felt that I should be compensated for the fact that I did not stay there, given the fact that they didn't have a resolution for me. I could not stay in that room, and the condition of that room was unacceptable. I'm sorry, I don't care where you're staying. There should never be insects on the mattress. Do you guys think? I mean, I don't care if they were bed bugs or crickets or ladybugs or whatever, ants, I don't care. There should not be insects, a whole big bunch of them, dead or alive, under the bedding on the surface of the mattress. And that's what I kept saying to her. Like, this is a fundamental housekeeping fail. But she didn't want to hear any of it. She was not professional. She was not apologetic. She was not considering it from a customer service standpoint. She was just extremely defensive and kind of bitchy. She just was like, we've never had bug bugs. And then she tried to say, well, you can't see bed bugs. I beg to differ. I saw what I thought was a bed bug crawling across the top of my son's dresser, caught it, picked it up, got it into a plastic bag, put it in my freezer, carried it to the health department of my county. They sent it to Madison to the state lab, got it inspected and determined that it was a bat bug, which looks exactly like a bed bug, except when you get it under a microscope. There's tiny little differences. But I mean, we held it and looked at it with our plain naked eye. Me and the health inspector guy and my kids, we all saw it. And I've seen plenty of video where people have found bed bugs in beds. And yeah, you can see them. They're tiny. They're about the size of an apple seed. But you can very visibly see them. So she obviously didn't know what she was talking about. She complained. She said, oh, we're going to have to bring in the dog. And she complained about the dog. I mean, this was a very simple situation. She could have just simply said, I'm very sorry. I will definitely get housekeeping in there to ensure that the room is okay. And I'm so sorry for your inconvenience and that we weren't able to move you to a different room. Yes, I will give you your money back. That's all she had to do. She had it within her power to do that. And she chose not to. And so I told her, okay, well then I'm going to take it to Wyndham Corporate. And I hung up. And then I immediately went and wrote her a 1-star review, a 1-star Google review. If you haven't ever seen him, I am a pretty active Google Maps reviewer. So every time I make a video about a place that we visit, I also review it on Google Maps. I leave very detailed, specific Google reviews with lots of information, and I also usually include photographs. So managers of many hotels have responded to my Google reviews and thanked me for leaving such thorough, specific reviews. You can always tell a good hotel, even if you have a problem there, if the manager responds to your Google review, thanking you for leaving the review or for leaving specific details, or apologizing that you had a bad experience or whatever, management responding to you, and I've even gotten emails directly from managers and stuff like that, is a good sign, because that shows that management is paying attention. They care about their guests' experience. They care about the reputation of the hotel and the brand. And so that's a good sign if they do that. But I left a 1-star Google review, and I did not say anything about the bugs because I felt that was not fair, because I wasn't sure exactly what they were, but they were definitely insects on the mattress. I just said that we will never stay there again because we had an extremely negative customer service experience. Okay, that's what I said in my review. Before I called Wyndham Corporate, I did look at all the other reviews for that hotel. There were a good number of 4 out of 5 and 5 out of 5s. But there were also a lot of 1 out of 5s. And it was definitely not just us. There were a lot of the same complaints, lots of rude staff, smelled musty, lots of instances of them refusing to give people their money back or even let them cancel in advance. So I saw a couple that kind of stood out to me. One was we had to cancel our trip because of severe weather. And it was, what they called, it was within a couple days, but it was inside of their cancellation window when they wouldn't let them cancel. And then another one, this one blew my mind. They called 22 hours in advance to cancel because someone in their family and their traveling party tested positive for COVID, and the hotel refused to let them cancel and would not give them their money back, which I thought was outrageous. And I'm pretty sure that during the pandemic, when we were still under the federal emergency, would have been illegal. Lots of them refusing to give people their money back or let them cancel. Just a general sense of a lack of responsiveness to guest concerns and things like that. One guest did actually completely strip the bed. They didn't find insects, but the mattresses were filthy. Now, I don't know. That could have been a little while ago, and they've since replaced the mattresses. Because at least what I did see of the mattress, besides the insects, did look clean. But they took pictures and posted the pictures on the Google review of these mattresses. And they said they even took those pictures to the manager and showed them and got nothing. Just like I did. No response, no apology, no acceptance of responsibility, nothing. A lot of people in the reviews for this particular property also said that there definitely seemed to be a major disconnect between this property and Wyndham Corporate. That, people were saying the same thing. They're like, we've stayed at some really nice Wyndham properties and this definitely isn't up to their standards. And how do they not know that this is going on, that this place is, being like this? So I felt it was definitely worth giving a call to Wyndham Corporate because I wanted them to know what's going on with this property. Because who knows if I could be the only person that has actually called to complain and not just written a review. So I called. I will say Wyndham Corporate customer service was very, very nice and extremely professional. She handled that call very well. This was a young woman who I'm pretty sure English was not her first language, but she did have very excellent, English speaking skills. She didn't have any trouble understanding me. I didn't have any trouble understanding her, although she had quite a thick accent. They had very pleasant hold music. She listened to me attentively without interrupting and let me tell my whole story, my whole situation. She was very polite and respectful, and she put me on hold first of all to input all the basic information, and then she put me on hold again for a fairly extended amount of time while she documented all of my concerns. And while she had me on hold, she came back every 90 seconds to 2 minutes to let me know, I'm still documenting. Are you okay for me to continue to have you on hold? And she was very nice. She did it 4 or 5 times. And then by the time that she finished that, she came back to say that I'd been assigned a case number and that I would be getting an email confirmation, which I got in seconds, and that the situation would be resolved within a week. And I just said again at the end, I said, I just want to make it clear that all I'm asking for is a refund because I didn't actually stay there. I would just like my money refunded to me. And I said my other reason for calling was I just wanted you at Wyndham to be aware of the issues with this particular property. And so then she said, let me add that to your case. And so she quick typed that on there too to make it clear that that's what I wanted. And so I thought they handled it very well. I had no beef with Wyndham at all. They did a very nice job, and their customer care person that I got was terrific. I did get the email confirmation with my case number, everything. She also read it to me over the phone and I wrote it down. And so I'm just waiting to see now how they handle it. I'm hoping that I'll get my money back. If they don't, I'm really not sure if I can claim this as a travel insurance claim or not. I'm hoping I can because it was a disruption of my travel plans. I'm optimistic that Wyndham will refund me my money. And I will add on to this video once I know what happens. They said there'd be a response within a week. Hello everyone, it's Heather and I am back with an update. Today is Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024. The first thing that happened is the day after, I think, that I filmed the main part of this video, the first big long part of this video, I noticed on my Google review, the 1-star review that I gave for that hotel that we did not stay at, it really looked like an automated response. It was obviously not actually typed or written by an actual person. It said it was from owner. It was a very generic, we're sorry you had a negative experience at our property. It's, we strive to provide the best possible customer service experience, blah, blah, blah. It was something very generic. It was very standard response. It was obviously a pre-written thing that they just slapped on there. I don't know where that came from. I don't know if that actually came from the owner of that particular property or if it came from Wyndham. I'm not sure. Then, 5 days after I posted the 1-star Google review, that generic one disappeared. And there was a new response from the property itself. And all it said was, "We have refunded your 1-night stay." As of that day, I didn't have anything showing back on my credit card. All I had was a charge for 1 night. So they didn't charge me for 2 nights, even though it was a 2-night stay. There was a charge for 1 night, but there was no refund at the time that that was posted. So 5 days after I posted that Google review must have been the Friday. So last Friday, I think. And then now it's been another 5 days since that. And I just today got a credit on my credit card for the same amount, for the amount of the 1-night stay. So it must have just taken that long for my credit card or whatever to process it. But they did give me my money back, so I'm happy about that. I never heard anything back from Wyndham Corporate, other than the first initial email that I got right when I was still on the call with them, saying that they'd opened a case. I never heard anything from them again. They said I would hear back within a week. Now, I don't know if what I'm hearing is that they contacted the property and told them to give me my money back. That may be, I'm not sure. I kind of feel like the people at that Wyndham property would not have independently decided to refund me the money. That's just the sense I got. So I'm not sure, but I never heard anything back from Wyndham Corporate again. And I had kind of made a note to myself that if I didn't hear anything by this Friday, so the end of this week, I was going to call Wyndham Corporate again. But since I got my money back and that's all I was asking for, I'm satisfied with the resolution. I just hope that Wyndham Corporate takes another look at that property and gets some things taken care of there. But we will never stay there again. I'm pretty sure I would never stay at that particular brand of hotel again, just because I'm going to be too nervous about it now. Thanks for joining me for this video. If you've ever had an experience like this, share it in the comments below. Do you think I handled this as I should have? Would you have done anything differently? Let me know that in the comments below. And if you found this video interesting or helpful in any way, please be sure to give me a like. And if you don't want to miss any upcoming travel stories like this, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Have a great day, everyone, and safe travels.